Good day everyone and welcome to another Whiteout Survival video sponsored by absolutely nobody. Today we're going to be talking about hero gear. I want to cover off three main things today. First, where your hero gear priorities should be in the early game. Next, what those change to once you hit level 100 and are actually able to ascend your gear into red gear. And finally, some myth busting on the lucky hero gear chests. As you should know if you're watching this video, there are three different troop types in the game. Infantry are your tanks, so they need health. Marksmen are your attackers, so they need lethality. Lancers are a bit of a middle ground, with a slight edge on attack, so we keep them fairly even. That's what brings us to hero gear. There's four types that each buff different things. Goggles and boots buff lethality, whilst the belt and gloves boost health. Based on this information, we have our priorities set up right away. For infantry, focus on the belt and gloves. For marksmen, focus on the goggles and boots. And finally for lancers, we want goggles and boots done first, with the belt and gloves lagging not too far behind. So great, let's look at how we upgrade them. It's important to say at this point that I'm only going to talk about gold or mythic hero gear going forward. There's two ways of upgrading mythic gear, the first of which is Enhancement. This uses either gear XP that you've accumulated or lower tier hero gear itself, each offering different levels of XP. Enhancement provides additive stats as we can see here, where it provides a simple bump from 3% at level 0 all the way up to 50% for a level 100 piece of gear. The second method is called Mastery Forging, which uses Essence Stones to upgrade a multiplicative stat bonus. Getting to Mastery level 1 gives you a 10% bonus, meaning that 50 turns into 55. Mastery level 2 gives you 20%, so 55 becomes 60, and so on and so on. All the way up to level 10, which gives you 100% boost. That 50% soon becomes 100%. You may be wondering why I'm avoiding the stats above lethality here, where we have hero attack and health and escort attack and health. Those only apply to exploration, which is basically arena. They always go up. You always need them. Every upgrade that you do, focusing on your lethality and health stats, will help you in arena as well, so I'm just going to ignore them for the rest of this video. Now we know what each of the upgrades do on hero gear, let's go back to your priorities and what specifically you should be doing as you progress through the game. The general advice is always to focus on infantry first. Now in the early game, things can be a little bit scrappy. That means people might be fighting you, so I completely agree with this, but I'd suggest doing things a bit at a time across each different troop. The world isn't perfect, but here's how I'd look at upgrading mine if I started again. As a first round of upgrades, I'd bring the infantry's belt and gloves to level 20, then marksman goggles and boots to level 20, and finally lancer goggles and boots to level 10, and their belt and gloves to level 5. After that, I'd start looking at bringing infantry even higher, so the belt and gloves would go to level 40 or so, whilst also upgrading the goggles and boots to level 10. This gives a nice little separation, so we're still focusing on health for infantry, but we're also bringing lethality up at the same time. For marksmen, we bring the goggles and boots to level 40, and the belt and gloves to level 10. For lancers, finally I'd bring the goggles and boots to level 20, and the belt and gloves to level 10, about halfway. You'll start to see a pattern here, where we're increasing everything relatively evenly, but with a focus on the key stats that we want to boost each time. When it comes to mastery forging levels, you should probably do them at the same priority. So that's infantry first, marksman next, and lancers last. I'd say that your infantry and marksman gear can be forged probably a level or two above your lancers. Now of course, everybody's getting resources at different rates, so it's not always going to look like this. This is why I'm calling it a perfect world. There's no need to worry if you've already started upgrading your gear and it doesn't look like what I'm suggesting. You can reforge gear at any time. You're able to reforge both Enhancement and Mastery levels. Enhancement is free, even though there's a little gem icon, it's always said free next to it. Maybe others have seen a cost, but I never have. Mastery, on the other hand, costs you half of your Essence Stones. We want to avoid this whenever possible. In fact, you should think if you actually need to reforge your gear at all. The goal at the end of everything is to have it to level 100 and Mastery level 10. That brings us neatly into part 2 of the video, when you do get to Enhancement level 100 and Mastery level 10. This unlocks what's called Ascension or Empowerment, basically making your hero gear red. Now things do get a little different there, because the same gear that you were focusing on before now actually changes. Now if you're English, you're probably thinking, why is that lovely Muppet telling me all this stuff just to go and change it? Luckily for me, that's just how the game works. Let's take a look at the boots as a quick example. They're for lethality, right? We've just learned that. Well, no. When it comes to Ascension and Empowerment, there's different levels. That's a 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. The first thing that you get from your boots is defense. Now the boots have the same empowerment stats as the gloves. The difference is, gloves give you health, and also defense in the empowerment stats. So that's actually what you want if you're going for health. You should keep focusing on the gloves. However, the next upgrade comes at level 100, which is very far away. So, that's why our priorities change. Let's just go back to one of the very first things that I told you here, the hero gear priorities. And we can look at the priorities pre-empowerment and post-empowerment. So what's actually changed? For infantry, we're keeping the gloves and changing the belt to boots. For marksmen and lancers, and yes, I'm intentionally ignoring the secondary health priority on lancers for the moment, we keep the goggles and then change the boots to the belt. That's your first priority, bring them to level 20. After that, we'll look to the other two pieces of gear and bring them to level 60. Because that's the next cheapest upgrade. So for infantry, that would be the goggles and belt, and so on and so on. I'll put each level up a bit later so you can screenshot it, print it out, and keep it pinned to your wall as a reference. Empowerment and Ascension isn't just a case of pushing the enhancement level past 100. To bring a piece of gear to level 101, you need 2 mythic hero gears just to start the process, as well as having your mastery forging to level 10. Bringing it to level 120 requires mastery forging at 11. There's lots of resources online about the cost, so I'll let you find them on your own. But let's just say to get one piece of hero gear maxed, you're going to need 150 mithril, 35 mythic hero gear pieces, that's just for the empowerment, to bring it to level 120, and then you need 55 more mythic hero gear pieces and 1550 essence stones to bring that mastery forging to level 20. Then it's maxed. Now that's really expensive for just one piece of gear, and it's why understanding your priorities as you keep playing through the game is so important. Just in case you're wondering, 3 full sets of mythic gear, all the way to max, that's 12 pieces of gear, would be 1800 mithril, 420 mythic hero gear, just for the empowerment, then 18,600 essence stones, and 660 mythic hero gears for the mastery. Good luck doing all of that. This brings me to the final point of the video then, lucky hero gear chests. Now, you're probably going to look online and see what's the best way to get my mythic gear from a lucky hero gear chest. Well, you'll see loads and loads of people saying, I open 20 at a time, I open 37 at a time, I open 50 at a time, always open 100 at a time. It doesn't matter at all. I've been a developer for a long time, not an AI vibe coder, like an actual developer, believe it or not. And there's no such thing as luck. It's just completely random. A number is being guessed for every single chest that you open and giving you a piece of gear based on that number. So you'll get mythic gear anytime, whether you open 1, 1,000, anything. Now supposedly there's a pity system in the game as well, which kind of makes sense. So if you open 100 gear chests at a time, you're basically guaranteed a mythic piece. So it doesn't matter if you open 1, 100, or 1,000, your chances are still the same. Just open all of your gear chests and do not even worry about it. That's it. We've reached the end of this video. As promised, here's the final priority list for all the different stages. Hopefully you've learned something. Either way, leave a comment below whether you're happy or angry, whatever. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, that one's just for you, Jackie.